What is up, you guys, and welcome to a very awesome episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator as we got some pretty cool information to talk about, as well as a major status or channel change for me that I want you guys to be aware of, and hopefully you'll help me out. So stick around, guys, because we got a lot of things to talk about. If you are interested in acquiring any of my overkills tutorial guides from Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below.
Overkill simulations, watch us as we fly. Overkill simulations, and freedom will never die.
All right, so first up, guys, as you can see, this channel is just banging. I have started a second channel, a channel that will be dedicated to basically anything and everything else outside of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, there will still probably be some Flight Simulator videos on it as well, but it's literally going to be a catch-all. So I'm looking for you guys' help to get it off the ground. We will be doing things like survival simulators, farming simulators, American truck simulators, racing, some combat, especially DCS World. Anything outside of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Our primary channel, this channel, will still be dedicated to flight simulation specifically. It's not going to leave that. We've tried it a few times before, and the way the YouTube algorithm works, when you break away from your primary content, your views just crash. So even if you guys are interested in it, the likelihood of you seeing one of those videos is very, very slim. I also have a link down in my description here to my Discord channel. On my Discord, I post new videos, every new video that I post, and it will be the same for this channel as well as a link to it. I'd really appreciate you guys' help. I want to be able to share new experiences with you guys and share the entertainment. I get a hell of a lot more goofier than I do already in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Just the other night, my daughter was laughing at me because I screamed like a little girl as a zombie came around the corner, so I promise it's a lot of fun. We'll be doing things like OCRP. For those of you who don't know, that's Jeff Favignano's GTA 5 roleplay. It's a very, there's no killing, death, things like that. It's very much so more for just role-playing real civ life. And then being obviously a bit more on the goofy side and having a lot of fun. I do different characters and things like that. So if you guys would please give me a subscribe on the channel, help me get off the feet. Videos will be posting as of this evening. I'm going to start uploading content to it, starting with things like The Infected, which is a survival game, post-apocalyptic survival game. Of course, there's zombies in it, which the zombies I can't stand, but we'll be doing things like I said, Subsistence, probably some Rust, American Truck Simulator, all kinds of other stuff, just to sort of kick back and do something different and still have a place to share it with you guys. I really do enjoy the content. I really enjoy making content, and I enjoy seeing the comments behind it. This will be a channel that I do probably many more live streams where it'll be much more engaging, much more fun. Again, it's a constant thing. I don't live stream as much with flight simulation simply because that once you get up to cruise, there isn't much going on, and you know, it's just one of those things. I still need to get back into live streaming, but I do want you guys to be aware. So again, if you guys will help me out, get the channel off the ground, I'd greatly appreciate it. Love all of your support. Thank you for its continuance, and let's get on to the next topic of today's video. All right, so first up in other news today, Salty Simulations has added an update, or an update is coming, excuse me, it's not there yet. An update is coming to the 747-8 from Salty. As you guys may or may not know, and you can find it by using the fly-by-wire installer, so go to the fly-by-wire website, and you guys can find the, once you install the installer, you guys can find the Salty 747-8. He did a great job improving the systems, improving overall functionality of the aircraft, and making it much more stable. I don't know how many of you still remember from the early days of Microsoft Flight Simulator, but everyone was excited to fly a 747, and it was a major dud. Had a ton of issues, especially with the autopilot, maintaining altitude, maintaining level. It wasn't good. It was a really bad experience in the beginning. And Salty took it over, much like Fly-by-Wire did with the A320. It's not quite as advanced as the A320, as there wasn't a full team, to my understanding, but definitely took it and made it significantly better. I do have a guide on my Patreon site for this particular 747 based on real world operations, and it worked pretty darn well. It was pretty close to what I was expecting to see from things like, for example, going back to P3D. So they did a very, very good job with this one. So they've added things. Obviously, you can see here we're seeing the weather information being displayed, weather again. And then you guys can see there's various settings and a dark mode that's clearly available for the tablet as well, with different settings as far as your brightness and things like that. You have, what I like what they've done here is you guys can see you have a sim brief option and local documents. So if you're not using something like sim brief or maybe even Navigraph charts, you can actually download and install, I imagine to a specified directory, which we'll find out later, certain PDF documents for your flight and be able to have the chart available. So it's a very nice start into the EFB for the 747-8. And again, if you guys haven't tried this one out yet, definitely give it a shot. The Salty did a wonderful job with this aircraft and turned it into something that was fun to fly. Big Radials making another entry into the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 world with their Lockheed Jetstar. The Jetstar was one of the first aircraft really to be what they are today as far as private jets, have the massive high altitude and be able to fly at Mach 0.8 as at the cruise altitude, has a maximum service ceiling of 43,000 feet. It was initially contracted by the United States Air Force for VIP commuting. It was later, that contract was later terminated. Lockheed decided to push forward the manufacturing and bring it to the business community, and then the Air Force ended up actually purchasing quite a few of them regardless. Lyndon B. Johnson used this aircraft. The 707 would fly into Austin, and he would take the Jetstar over to his ranch. That was, a few miles away. So a little hop, skip, and a jump because obviously his ranch couldn't accommodate a 707. Not everybody has the landing pad that John Travolta has. So, but it's a very, very well done aircraft. It's approaching early access. I believe their goal, obviously everything is subject to change, is to have early access released as of this Friday. But again, that information is subject to change, so keep that in mind. Second thing, let's talk about early access. It's one of those things that people there's still a lot of people who misunderstand what early access means. Early access means that the aircraft is in a relatively complete state. However, you may still experience bugs, odd behaviors, missing functionality, features that aren't yet implemented. Early access is exactly what it sounds like. Early. It is early. If you are early to something, it's there before it was time, right? So the aircraft is not complete. It's something that you decide, whether or not you want to partake in. So if you don't want to have to deal with possible bugs, if you don't want to deal with some missing functionality or anything like that, then don't go for early access. But early access gives you the option to get into the aircraft, start learning it, start getting more familiar with it. Eagle Dynamics with DCS World used to be really big on early access aircraft. I think they've sort of stepped away from that because of all the feedback that people get. People get pissed off. Why is there a bug? It's so buggy. Why is this broken? Like, that's the nature of early access. I always liked it because for me, one of the advantages to early access, it's not so prevalent in Microsoft Flight Simulator as it is in like DCS World. But in DCS World, I was really big on it because they would always launch the early access with limited features, right? So a lot of the systems would be incomplete, especially when it came to the combat aspect. So what it gave you the chance to do is get familiar with the aircraft, just flying it around, working through your startups, things like that, maybe working with the limited weaponry that was available. And then as new features came in, you were already proficient with everything else. And so it was real easy to just sort of assimilate those new pieces into it without having to learn all this aircraft all at once. Again, not quite as prevalent with Microsoft Flight Simulator simply because you're not dealing with 400 different methods of employing weaponry on a target, right? But it still is an advantage, right? And usually there's an early access discount. I haven't quite determined if they're doing that yet or not. But it is something to be aware of that it is coming down the line. I have access to this aircraft, guys. We will be doing a full review on this aircraft, or I'm not going to call it a review. I'm going to say we're going to do a first flight, an early access first flight of the aircraft within the next day or two. You guys will see that posting here on the channel. So if you guys are interested, it should be out before the aircraft is released, so you guys get an idea of what it's like. Let's now talk about the iFly 737 MAX 8. So it is also entering early access, and there will be a link to the purchase site down below if you guys are interested in checking that out. Now, one of the really cool things about this is that they, from the reviewers thus far that they provided the aircraft to, unfortunately I wasn't one of them, but the reviews of this aircraft have been pretty strong. Everyone seems to be enjoying it. Of course, again, had a couple bugs, couple of issues and things like that. That's the nature, once again, of early access, much less a reviewer's access as well, if you catch my drift. The aircraft is available for $69.95 on the iFly purchasing tool, which again, I will have a link to that down in the description below if you guys are interested in picking this aircraft up. Again, it's gotten really, really good reviews. The modeling of the aircraft seems to be really on point. It is what you would consider a high fidelity model of the aircraft. Dare I say study level. I like to use high fidelity, a little bit more lenient with the terminology, if you will. As there are always limitations to what you can do with a simulator, at least desktop simulation. So the aircraft has really, like I said, it's gotten great reviews. It looks absolutely fantastic. The systems modeling is on point. I've watched numerous videos on it. It looks really, really good. After the weekend, I've got a full schedule, so I have decided to wait until the weekend is over, and then I will be picking this up as well and probably engaging with this one next week. And I will also be doing a full tutorial guide on that, so stay tuned for that. If you guys are interested in any of my guides, we have the 777 guide finally releasing this Friday. It will be out on my Patreon site. It is going through its final tests. I've done 2 complete full flights with the guide with limited editing necessary. I've got a few dots and T's to cross, but this Friday evening, being the, what would that be, the 19th, 18th, 19th? The aircraft or the tutorial guide will be released on Patreon. I also have the Duke guide that will be releasing a week later, the following Friday. It is also in its final stages. I've completed 1 full flight with it without any issues thus far. I'm going to run through a couple of variations of it because there's a couple things that could catch me, but it will be releasing the week after, and then this will be my next target. So if you guys are interested in those guides or supporting the channel further, please consider joining me on Patreon. $10 a month, you guys, gives you access to all of the guides that I use or that I've created. Everything that I ever create and will ever create, $10 a month, they're all yours. And I think right now there's currently 11 posted. So let's go ahead and move on to our next segment here. The ATR has received a update, and it is quite significant. Remember, the ATR 42 series of aircraft were Microsoft Flight Simulator's first of the Expert series line. I have a full tutorial guide on this aircraft as well. However, in its initial releases, it still had quite a few bugs, and it was in desperate need of a update. It's been holding off for quite a while. There is a very significant changelog, which I will have a link to it down in the description below if you guys are interested in checking this aircraft out. You can also find it on the MSF marketplace, and if you already own it, obviously just update the aircraft and you guys can check it out. But it is a fantastic plane. It is still a fun plane to fly. I've had a great time flying it in the past. I've flown it multiple times here on the channel if you guys want to look for those videos. It's always been really good, even with its odd behaviors. And the odd behaviors for me were never game breaking. But a lot of fixes have been implemented to this aircraft. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, make sure that you take a look. Say Intentions AI Entourage, the same developers for Say Intentions ATC, have released a new product that is a one-time purchase. The idea behind it is to further leverage AI, creating the use or adding the use of cabin announcements, ground crew, even doing some sort of injection later on down the road. There's a bunch of different things that are coming down. So if we look at it, you have localized radio chatter, directional taxi paths, tour turner custom tours. So basically you can have, like, if you're doing some sort of tour flight, right, where you're showing off, scenery or whatnot, you can actually have a tour guide that will start talking to you and talking about everything in the local area and whatnot. And then finally, You also have the AI virtual airline dispatchers that will be included already. And then AI mentors. So I'm kind of curious about the mentors and where that goes and how deep that goes. I'm kind of curious how that works, because obviously that information would have to be available to the specific aircraft. So I am kind of curious there. But now some of the features coming soon is ramp agents, ground ops, pushbacks, airline ops, flight instructors, FBOs, and injected ground equipment, as we just talked. So I would imagine as you call for a GPO cart, you could do that via AI, and it would automatically bring that into the into your ramp. So pretty cool. I think I'm going to check this one out. It definitely has my attention, and one of the things that I did like that they pointed out in their informational was that this is also compatible with all major ATC programs. So I would assume things like Beyond ATCs, Say Intentions ATC, as well as Pilot to ATC and some of the older programs. So really slick idea. And again, I have to give them credit where credit is due. Same thing with Beyond ATC, both of them. And anyone else that's in the same genre here, leveraging AI is really becoming quite the powerful tool. It's really coming a long way. And it really makes you wonder, like with Microsoft Flight Simulator 24 and above, beyond, if you will, how far AI is going to really become a part of flight simulation. I mean, you look at all the things that it's doing now, and I don't personally use it, but you look at AI Copilot, right, for Microsoft Windows now and the later versions of it and all the things that it can do. You start seeing some of these features, start seeing what they're going to be coming with, and then the integration options and opportunities that are coming with a lot of these softwares, especially with as the AI becomes more advanced, just like anything else, and becomes more available to the general public, the pricing of it is going to come down. So then we're going to start seeing AI just included in more and more features and more of the things that we do in our day-to-day, including flight simulation. So the sky is the limit, if you will. It seems to be heading that way. So anyways, don't forget about my channel, guys. My second channel, a link to it will be down in the description below. Probably be loud and proud. It'll be easily noticeable, but appreciate you guys helping me get that thing off the ground. I really want to get started doing something new. This channel isn't going anywhere. It is absolutely my priority. I will still maintain for those of you who don't know, I do about one video a day is my goal. I don't always reach it, and sometimes a couple days takes some place. And that will always be my priority. It's just, when I'm having my downtime, it would be fun to share these experiences with you. None of these guys here, I have all girls, and they don't really care about some of the other games I play, so it'd be fun to be able to share it with you guys as well. So anyways, as always, guys, stay safe and healthy. Hope you found this video useful and entertaining, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, folks.